welcome to episode 56 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and come to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today's the 24th of January. So we've got some knitting, a little bit of sewing, some bobbin lace and some confessions and a couple of questions from the Ask Me Anything thread. So you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, Facebook, all the social medias as Craft House Magic, and I have a website, crafthousemagicc.co.uk, where you can find my handmade knitting accessories such as bags and hand-dyed yarn, and the links are down below. I was going to have a shop update this Friday, but I'm changing it till the 1st of February, just because I've got so many colourways that I want to dye up and make sure that they're fully stocked in the shop for you, so that they'll be launched at the same time. And also that there's a new currency converter tab on my website where you can see the prices of the products in the currency that you want to see them in. So you can choose in the drop down box on the top right. So we've got some knit-alongs going on in the Ravelry group, and there's links to the Ravelry group down below as well. We've got the gnome along, where we're knitting the Here We Gnome Again pattern, but I've decided we're going to do all the gnomes, doesn't matter what pattern it is, just to see what you come up with. We've already got a few finished objects in the thread if you want to come and have a look. We've got the Edinburgh Yarn Festival knit-along going on, where we're knitting, crochet. When I say knit-along, I am pretty laid back with my knit-alongs or crochet-alongs, so they can be crocheted, knitted, doesn't really matter. So come and join what you're going to be wearing at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And also, if you're not going to go, pretend you are, and I'll upload a video after I've been to the show and you can feel like you've been. Also, I've got the Candy Cane knit-along and the Mini Advent knit-along going on till the end of January. Don't forget to get your finished objects in for the Candy Cane knit-along, just to be in with a chance of winning a prize. So there we go, that's all the knit-along stuff done. I wanted to say that my lovely friend Jo had crocheted me this lovely cowl for Christmas, and I never actually said what the pattern was called. So the pattern is called the Daisy Twist Cowl, and it's made, it's designed by Handmade by Smine, and I'll pop a link down below. But isn't that pretty? I've been wearing it loads, Jo. It's been really cold, even round the house. Oh, I'll share my mug with you. This is the lovely mug that I picked up when I was with my friend Caroline, who's Caroline Loved to Sew, and we're mug twinsies. Oh dear. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that there's been lots of talk about inclusion and racism in the knitting community on Instagram and all different podcasts really. And I just wanted to say that everybody is absolutely welcome on to watch the podcast and to comment. And the little community we've got chatting in the down bar down below and also over in the Ravelry group. It's such a nice and friendly group, and I'm just so grateful to have so many lovely friends that are watching the podcast. I think it's got to be a place where anybody, whatever your colour, whether you're young, old, male or female, absolutely everyone's welcome. And we don't tolerate any sort of nasty comments because we are a lovely, happy community. But I think it's always good to be read as much as you can and learn about people's different situations so that we can understand each other better. Anyway, enough about the sort of politics that's going on at the moment. Let's talk about the knitting. So, first, really haven't done much on this project, but I thought I'd show you anyway. That I've started my sort of third row on my Northeasterly blanket. So the Northeasterly blanket is a pattern by Skinanigans, and it's a paid for pattern, but it's actually quite a reasonable price. And I've done 2 whole rows at the moment. So it's supposed to be a blanket pattern, but this is actually going to be a little sort of what is it called? A scarf, Ellie. Oh dear, I haven't had enough caffeine this morning. My eyes are like shutting. Oh dear. Right, so we're on the third row, and I've only done a little bit, but I've been using this as my car knitting rather than knitting socks, because I wanted to sort of stick to a few projects rather than knitting on all the things. So the yarns are little scraps that I've had, or not scraps, little lovelies that I've had from swaps with my friends for Advent. So that's really lovely because it's like a little memory of them. So we've got my main work in progress that I've been working on in the last week. And I got told off by Lorraine. Lorraine said, get on with your Edinburgh Yarn Festival jumper or cardigan, Ellie, because you're not going to get it finished. So I was like, yes. So I've done this much. Well, it should be round this way really, shouldn't it? I should be careful because I've took the little stoppers off the ends. But this is the yoke that I'm knitting. This is the yoke that I'm knitting of my Cherry Blossom cardigan. And you can see that I'm using 2 colours here. And now you might remember, and I'll show you the picture at the top. So this is the Cherry Blossom cardigan pattern. And if you look closely, there's actually 4 colours in the yoke. But I've taken the advice from Ava from the Charm of It, and when she knitted it, she did 2 colour work and then added the other colours in afterwards. So what it'll mean is that I'll duplicate stitch over sort of the centre of the flowers, which will be in a slightly darker pink, and there's like vines between the flowers here that I've got to add in afterwards. So because there's very little of those 2 colours, I thought it'd definitely be better to just add them in afterwards. And 2 colour work, it's so much easier than 4 colour work. I just thought, how am I going to manage having 4 colours on one row? If it was 2 on one row and 2 on another, it'd be fine. But 4 colours on a row, whoa, it blows my mind. So that's how it's looking so far. It's not the neatest colour work. But I am really enjoying knitting with this yarn. So the yarn is Knit by Numbers by John Arbon, and I've got 3 colours. Let me grab the other one. So this deeper red is going to be, well, pink is going to be the centre of the flowers, and then I've got the lighter pink I'm using for the petals and the grey I'm using for the main body. And this is number 5, and these are either 77 and 79, but don't ask me because I can't remember. And I should make sure that I iterate the designer of the cardigan. It's Lena Tosti, or really sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I will leave a link down below to the pattern if you want to find it. And I think that there's a few other versions of the pattern in different languages, so that's nice, but I can't remember what they're in, I'm sorry. But it's in English and I can understand this one, so that's okay. So I'm really looking forward to wearing this. What I'm going to do is I measured my upper bust measurement to get the size that I'm actually going to knit out of this cardigan. But what I'm going to do when I get to the bust line, I'm going to do some short rows to make sure that there's enough room for my boobies. Oh dear. Well, it's got to fit nicely, hasn't it? And I find that because I've got quite a big bust compared to my shoulders, quite often cardigans look quite big over here. So I thought I'll do the smaller size and then add some room for my boobies. Hopefully this doesn't get taken off YouTube because it says boobies in it. Oh dear. So I wanted to say, actually, somebody had asked me, I think it was Lorraine from the Ellinesecraft podcast, or Ellinesecraft. I'll put it on the screen, I'm sorry Lorraine. She was asking me what this was at the edge, and it's a provisional cast on. So I'll go back and add some ribbing there to go around the neck afterwards. But I've chosen a colour that pretty much goes quite well with the petals, so it's quite pleasing to the eye when you're actually knitting it. If it was a really bright colour, it would probably freak me out a little bit. Not goodness knows why, because I'm going to pull it out afterwards. But that doesn't really look much at all, but that's taken me absolutely ages. I am about 3/4 of the way through the colour work, and I'm hoping once I finish the colour work, the rest will zoom by. I think what I'm going to do when I've actually finished the colourwork section is block it and add the duplicate stitching of the other colours in afterwards before I start the rest of the cardigan, just to make sure I've got the fit and the shape and the colourwork right before I do any of the other bits, because we wouldn't want to have had to rip it all out and start again at the end, would we? So I'm afraid that's all the knitting I've got for this week. Because I'm doing a weekly podcast, I don't feel as if I'm getting so much knitting done now, but I'm sure that it'll just be a nice shorter episode. This is what I'm saying, but last week was still 40 minutes. Although bear in mind I did have my Make 9 in there. So I'm going to strip off and show you what I'm wearing. It's a little bit cold to be wearing a short sleeve t-shirt, but I wanted to talk to you about this. So this is going to be my little sewing segment, and I wanted to show you what my Frankie t-shirt looked like on. So I've worn this for a day and sort of just to decide how comfortable I feel like the fit is. So I'm really pleased with the sleeves and how the front sort of hangs. I think that's quite flattering. And I am loving the fishies, despite the fact that I look like a little bit like a child. Although, the one thing that annoys me slightly is the neckline. So I don't think it is excessively high in terms of the look, but I do feel as if it's just a little bit restrictive around my neck. I'll show you around the back before I sit down. So I think I might have to cut the neckline just slightly lower, just so that it doesn't annoy me so much, because it's, I don't know. I don't think it'll be too much bother if I just cut the neckline lower and then measure, make a new neckband that's sort of 10-15% smaller than the actual measurement of the neck when I cut it. It should be okay. There we go. That's my sewing. Barbara is redundant this week, isn't she? I think she's glad of the rest. She had to sit down last week, didn't she? Oh dear, I hope you don't think I'm too crazy. I do think though that there's not enough crazy silliness in the world just to cheer people up. So we're now on to the bobbin lace section. I have actually shown a picture of this on Instagram. I haven't done an awful lot more, and I'm going to have to show it you upside down because that's the way my bobbins are working at the moment. So this is the top of the work, and I've got these little leaves. I don't think that they're that clear because I've got all the pins in there. So I've worked my way around from this side, down here and all the way to this edge. So it's mainly worked with hole stitch, and then I've done some, these are called spiders where the threads cross over, and I've just sort of made them up and positioned them where I wanted to as I went along, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. So there we go. I have, off the top of my head, I can't remember what the thread is, but I will put, I'll put it on the screen so you can tell what it is. And I think I picked that up from a shop called Roseground. What have I just dropped? Oh, goodness knows what I've just dropped. Hopefully nothing important. So there we are. I just thought I'd show you my progress on my bobbin lace. I don't think it's going to take me that long to get to this point here that it works up to. But then I've got quite a lot of leaves to work here and here, so that might take me a little while. So there we go. I don't do an awful lot of bobbin lace when I'm not at my bobbin lace group, just because there's so many things to do and so little time. I'm going to have to put the cardi back on. It's a bit chilly in here, even with the radiator on. So we have my confession section. Excuse my hair being wet, I've only just washed it this morning. Right, I've got some lovely things to show you. So I saw that LouLeigh, or Lee from the LouLeigh podcast and Etsy shop, had put a sale on her Knit Pro Zings. So I had to get some, so I picked some 2.75mm needles up there at a reduced price. I don't suppose I really needed them, but I've been thinking about them for a while and I thought, oh, I need some. I used these for knitting on my Northeasterly and Cozy Memories blanket, so I thought, well, I'll get another set because I've only actually got one set of these, and there's 5 needles in a set, and I've got 2 needles in that project, 2 needles in my Cozy Memories, and if I lose a needle or 2, these are backups. And I love LouLeigh's podcast, so you must go and check it out. And I picked up one of her pins, the Stash Appreciation Society. And it's basically a Ravelry group that chats along about the things that they've been knitting out of their stash. Although I'm rubbish at going on people's Ravelry groups because I've got my own to look after, but I just thought that was lovely. Isn't that cute? Right. Oh, and I also bought from Lee's website a copy of her lovely Notions pouch. So hopefully gets one of those made up at the weekend. This is hoping that I have some sewing time, and I can show you how I got on. but it's a very lovely pattern. I know my friend Lorraine's made one, and she showed me hers, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna have to make one of those. She also sells them made up if you don't want to sew as well, but I will show you that when I've made it up. I had the biggest surprise on Saturday. Me and Adam were having a lazy lie-in and the doorbell rang, and it was the postman. I was thinking, I don't think I've ordered anything. This big box come through the door, and it said it was from Australia, and I thought, oh, I've got a present. And I had the nicest gift, and Adam did too. It was the first thing that somebody'd sent him, so he was really, really chuffed. My lovely friend Alison had sent us some of her beautiful handmade bags, and they're made out of the most gorgeous fabric. Aren't they lovely? So they're Aborigine prints. Aren't they beautiful? And this one was labelled for me. And look at those colours. I love them. Alison, you've just known me so well. I saw this and I was like, oh, I love it. And then Adam absolutely adores this one. So this one's got Adam on. And they were so carefully packaged with all bubble wrap all inside, and absolutely, the sewing is impeccable on these, Alison. Absolutely gorgeous. I haven't used them yet, because I wanted to show them on the podcast. But now we can put our lovely knitting projects in. Thank you so much, Alison. So my last purchase was some grey velvet ribbon, and this is for my Madewell cardigan to go around the edge like I talked about on the last episode. I'm thinking of doing like a little video of how I apply this ribbon. Oh yeah, I've put it on my head. Apply this ribbon sort of round the neck of the cardigan to show how I do it. I'm thinking about doing just little snapshots of my sort of crafty process. What do you think? So there we are, there's my ribbon, and this is from a shop called Ray Stitch, and the quality of this is really lovely. And I also got the jersey ribbing fabric from there as well, and I'm really pleased with the quality. It's a little bit on the expensive side, I think, for especially the jersey ribbing, because I think it was £5 for 25 centimetres, but I think jersey ribbing is that price anyway. But they had some good colour choices in it. So there we are from Ray Stitch. I think that's all for my confessions. I haven't been too bad. So the last section of the podcast is the Ask Me Anything. So there's an Ask Me Anything thread in the Ravelry group where people can go over and put questions in there. Or if you want to, you can email me questions on crafticemagic.co.uk. So I had a couple of questions, one on the Ravelry group and one as an email. And the first of those was from Jo. She was asking me, have I ever used a knitting machine, or would I ever use a knitting machine? And the answer is yes. I actually have a knitting machine, like a flatbed one. And I got it from a charity shop, and I did think, oh, I can make sock blanks. I can do like panels for jumpers and do colourwork jumpers I thought I'd be able to do on this. Have I, Eck? And it's because I bought it from a charity shop, it's second hand, and it wasn't completely working properly. Well, not in my hands anyway. I found that some of the stitches would drop, so I think I need to take the whole thing apart and give it a good oil and clean all inside to get it working. But I need to just take the time to do that. I will someday. Adam keeps saying that he wants to go take it apart. He loves taking things apart. So I'll have to sort of just leave it on the living room floor and say, oh look. See if he wants to fix it for me. But hopefully I will get it set up one day. I know that Rachel from Treehouse Knits, she's been doing socks on a flatbed knitting machine. Although I think you have to have an extra bit, an add-on bit, so that you can do the circular knitting. But that would be so cool. But I would like to do some more. It's just getting the time to do all the things, I think. And this is why we need lists. That's why I do sort of make 9, because I get too many things in my head and then I don't end up doing my favouriteest things. Anyway, so thank you, Jo, for that question. So my friend Maria asked me how I was getting on with my little business. So my business has been running now full time since August 2017, and I cannot believe that it's still going. So at the end of 2017 in August, I decided that after my contract had finished as a research scientist, that I'd just give it a go. So research scientist contracts tend to be 3 to 5 years, and I was going to have to sort of move around the country and work in different places. I didn't really want to do that, and I thought, well, I really loved doing my Etsy shop at the time. So I thought, well, I'd give it a go full time. And now I've transferred over to my online shop. I'm so pleased that I've managed to get this far in so little time, in terms of my targets anyway. I do find it's quite demanding, and you need to be quite self-motivated to have your own little business. I'm always sort of scaling yarn or doing little jobs in the evenings. And Adam's saying, are you still working? But to me, it's all part of the enjoyable process of having my own little sort of baby business. It's lovely. But you definitely need a lot of self-motivation to keep yourself going. I used to, in my research scientist job, I used to do a lot of talks to big groups of people. So to me, that was a lot more stressful than sitting talking to a camera, even though thousands of people watched it afterwards. That's a lot less stressful than having to stand up and tell people about your science project and have people question you about it. That was a bit scary. But I did used to enjoy it. It's just that I wanted to do something else, try something else out. But that's about it really. If you have any more particular questions, just pop them in the Ravelry group or drop me an email. And I think that's enough for today, and I hope you have a lovely crafty week until next time. This afternoon I'm going to attempt to start the first of my bobbin lace videos. The first one is just going to have the things you'll need to do bobbin lace. And I'll just do some very simple videos on the basic stitches that you need to do. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail just because I don't feel like I'm an expert at bobbin lace, but I just want to get you started so that you feel that, yeah, I'd like to have a go at this, and then you can look into finding some tutors in your area. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you next week.